Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Running a little behind here. Had to do drop off. Hadn't had the time to get ready. So sorry about that. But just let me sort everything out. And then we can go. Hooray. Wonderful. Everything's wonderful. What's that from again? Oh yeah, America is wonderful. That is from The Return of Son of Monster Magnet by the Mothers of Invention. So if you want a sort of like culty deep cut, I suppose, that would be it. It's 15 minutes of very surprising noise. But that's not what we're going to have a look at today. We are going to have a look at today. Well, I was thinking of doing Japanese breakfast because I think that a lot of people have a lot of respect for Japanese breakfast. And to some degree, I do too. I first found her on the Jubilee album and worked backwards. And I also quite liked the Sable OST. I think it's for a game, but I haven't played the game. But it had some good music for it. Anyway, she's back with another album now, but I'm not going to have a look at that because I have been more interested by the work of the very unusual extreme metal band who only play the sounds of New York City as they hear them. Imperial Triumphant. And I really think that these guys are something special. It's quite an unusual kind of sound that they get. We need a different setup for when I'm on Bandcamp, don't we, really? We need me probably over here. I mean, ideally, I could just get rid of that panel at the side, because I don't need that. Maybe if we just make this a bit bigger. Yeah, there we go. That works. And then, then we can put that like that. Then we can put me. Well, what works best? I guess there's a lot of information there that we don't need, but I'll do something like this. We can't get that image with the track list though, can we? I guess mainly we're going to be spending time on the track list, so I'll put that over there. Alright, something like that. Seems fine. No, but then, don't I want to be over here? Alright, let's just leave it as is. That seems fine. Although, let's just read this little paragraph, shall we? Goldstar takes perennial New Yorkers Imperial Triumphant's exploration of the extreme and arcane and delivers the band's most focused, authentic, and accessible work to date. Well, that doesn't sound good. Featuring guest appearances by Meshuggah drummer Thomas Harker and the legendary drummer Dave Lombardo, both of whose presence makes it clear that musically, Imperial Triumphant are in a class by themselves, while also taking drummers from other bands. In their vision of urban disorder, Imperial Triumphant's monolithic cityscapes are as dark as any of their extreme or black metal brethren. Well, that's interesting. Why do they distinguish between black metal and extreme metal? I've never heard that before, but that's interesting. Also, if you're interested, dearie me, we've got Zachary Ezrin, who is one of the people with the big star hats. We've on vocals and guitar. We've got Steve Blanco on bass, and we've got Kenny Grochowski on drums. That's interesting. So they've got a drummer in the band, but they've also got two extra drummers. are we going to have a situation here where we have multiple drummers on the same track? Because if so, this is going to get intense. Okay, well, let's see. Eye of Mars. Okay, that's quite loud. Let me just check. I've turned my my normalizer off. I'm not sure there's a... Yeah, okay. Normalizer is off. Not sure there's a volume control on here. I guess I have one on my computer. Volume mixer. Yeah, let's just take Microsoft Edge down a bit, because we don't want to blow your ears. That's a bit better. That's still loud. No, it's alright. That's alright. Okay, so yeah, I should have probably given a an introduction to these guys to begin with, because they are definitely in the sort of black metal spectrum, but they are also very fond of outside influences. So you may well get some piano, like we've just heard, or some sort of jazzy breaks, maybe even, I don't know, some acoustic guitars, folky kind of things. But that's relatively common in a black metal field, to occasionally go down to the acoustic guitars, and Panopticon have made themselves a real niche for having the folky elements in. This is not quite the same as this. These are I guess they have more of a sci-fi, or like, well, clearly this album cover is going Metropolis, isn't it? It's very much a Metropolis type of thing they're going for. I previously have, in fact, I've listened to their most recent 3 albums, I think, apart from that covers collection. Let's just have a look at what they are. So Vile Luxury apparently was reduxed in 1924. I don't know enough of the lore to understand what that means, but yeah, they as far as I can tell, remixed the album, but Vile Luxury's from about 2018. I've heard that. Spirit of Ecstasy I've heard only once, and I wasn't massively bowled over by it, but I definitely should give it another go. And Alphaville is definitely my favourite, and you can see quite clearly from that the kind of... Alphaville is its own dystopian thing anyway, but yeah, like Metropolis imagery, this kind of sci-fi, crazy cityscape stuff. That's definitely the thing that they're going for. And apparently they're only playing the sounds of New York City. So maybe this is just what New York City is like. I have not been. I couldn't tell you. And I have now decided that after clicking Eye of Mars, we're going to go up here. So this is an interesting start, isn't it? We've got rain sounds, and we've got a sort of choir giving... Let's just check them in tune, more or less. Giving us like an E-flat minor chord. We've got one there. I think we've got one there. Yeah, there might not be the one there. There might be one there, maybe. And then this one goes up to there. And then there's oh yes, there's a guitar that comes in with that G flat up in that top octave. But yeah, a kind of very I don't know, vulnerable and straggly texture to begin this album. And it fades into that. Let's hear that fade. Yeah, so all the voices are sort of around this chord. chord with one there, and then one sort of creeps a little bit higher, but it's all around the E flat minor, and it just sort of fades a little bit, and then bah, we're in with whatever beginning onslaught we're going to have here. Yeah, so we've got na 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 na, which is echoed 2 octaves lower. I think. So the thing about these guys that I've noticed is they like the straightforward dissonances. It's a little bit unusual, even in metal, to just embrace solid dissonance. It does happen a fair amount of the time, but you know, for, let's say, your boilerplate metal band, they're doing power chords, and they'll maybe have a creepy riff like that, which goes all over the things, and they might even do that in power chords, something like that. But they're not going to embrace actual dissonance within the chords, like, you know, that kind of thing. But these guys do that. It puts them, you know, in a slightly more unpleasant category, which I put bands like the ones that come to mind are like Thantifaxeth, like maybe Snorlax. There are quite a few, but they are on this sort of almost weirder level of extreme metal, where it's no longer about just the onslaught of atmosphere and horror, but there's like a real sort of nastiness underneath it, or, well, I don't know, that might be dumbing it down in a unfair way. So here we go again. Is that in there? Not really. Maybe a little, but it's it's not tuned like I'm tuned anyway. And it's fading down again, isn't it? Just like the kind of beginning did. And there's our piano. So, fun. Well, we've got 3 different textures already in the first 20 seconds. That's pretty crazy. The one that's just come in, is piano led. We've got a drone note at the bottom, which is that A flat. We'll call it A flat, though G sharp might make more sense. And then we've got this piano thing giving us just 2 notes alternating, which are C and D flat there. And then we've got a sort of newscast going on in the background too, saying some fast words. I don't know what they're saying. Does it matter? Maybe a little.
Content of the new meeting.
Okay, and then suddenly a different thing again. So there's like a hard stop to the rain, hard stop to the drone, and everything else. It hard stops, and then we get a strange kind of cymbal sound. Maybe like a china, maybe a splash. I think it's probably a splash cymbal. And then, suddenly we're in with what sounds like it might be an actual verse. Strange intro. 4 different sections, all within 25 seconds. Crazy stuff. Yeah, okay. So that was kind of like a verse section, and it's brought the whole band in. I guess they came in on the sort of the bit just before, where we got those octaves, maybe with that tritone in there. But now, they're all in again, and what have we also got? We've also got we've got the voice. This is the first time the voice has come. I won't probably be saying much about the voice, but you can hear what it is. It's the deep growling kind of stuff that you get with let's say intelligibility isn't necessarily aim of the game here, but I still think these guys do have slightly more of that than a lot of their contemporaries. So keep your eyes out for some actual words. So it feels like in those 8 seconds between when we came in, about 25 and 33, we've finished a section already, and we're on to another section after that. And in this section, we've got a rhythm, which is the main feature. Something similar to that. We've got some squealing guitar. Well, not squealing really, but they're just kind of moaning in this kind of area. Maybe a couple layered in there, just doing slightly different things, grinding away in the background. And then there's that main chugging thing, which, I should probably tune down, but I won't for now. It's around the same area as the other riff that we got, that G sharp A kind of thing, or A flat B double flat kind of thing. Yeah, the bass is really underpinning these chords quite strongly, which is again something that doesn't happen so often in metal. The bass often gets absolutely swamped, but here you can hear it pretty clearly coming through, so that's nice. Yeah, so yeah, so we really just got a break there, where the bass, where does it go? Don't know. We'll cover it in a moment. But the guitars have gone higher, sort of like there and there, and it goes to triplets for a bit. So we've had that, which is 1 2 3, but it doesn't feel like a triplet, because if it was a triplet, we could be going 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and even if those are silent, that would be. It's not really how the rhythm sounds to have those. That's not quite it. But now we've got some triplets going just for a little bit, and then we take up another rhythmic feature, and then it sounds like we go back into something similar to the first part of this verse. Yeah, it's not quite as even as that, is it? Is it? Is it something like that? Let's hear it one more time. Yeah. So it's. Which is 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think it's 9. Yeah, that would be 9. Split in a kind of unusual way, where we get like a 3 at the beginning. Do we? 1 2 3. Yeah. Well, I guess it feels more like a 4, because it's dugga-dum, dugga-dum, which would be 1 2 3 4 1, dugga-dum, dugga-dum, and that's dum dum go. So it's like a 4 and a 5. Now, normally if you were in 9, you would split it into equal 3s. It would be like, the easiest way of doing it would be because then we get 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Still feels a little bit odd with that particular riff, but it would make more sense than what we've got here. We've got quite an angular thing. This is all going for onslaught of different visceral senses. We can't can't dance to it. We can't understand very clearly the harmony because it's so thick, and we've got these semitone confusions going on. The higher guitar is giving us some notes that are antithetical to what's going on in the lower part. So all these things together, as well as just the rhythm being the most heavy pushing thing, and that being unusual, these things lead to a big confusion of sound, and it's exciting and heavy and a bit scary. Let's carry on. Okay, so that was our triplet bass again. Yeah. There's going to be so much going on here. I'm not going to talk about absolutely everything. But let it be known, we have quite a lot going on in the first minute of this 5-minute track. Okay, wow. You can hear some horns, or some brass, probably trumpets coming through the back there. Yeah, that is evil sounding. Really fun. Yeah, took it down. So they're going in time with the riff, and they're doing something like yeah, something like that. So by themselves, they probably sound quite nice. I don't think there's anything particularly discordant about how those trumpets are going, but with everything else, they really sound like a completely different thing colliding. It feels like, for me, like the Nether in Minecraft, where you have so much going on. You've just teleported into a strange world, nothing looks like it should, and then there's, maybe a fireball is thrown at you from one of those things. Oh my goodness, what's going on? That's what it feels like to me. Yeah, fun. Yeah, it's more like that's probably a simplified version, but it doesn't sound very discordant by itself, but it doesn't work with these things going down here. Some drum theatrics, I think really drums are the most interesting thing in this kind of extreme music. The drums often have a lot more space to do exactly what they want than, say, the guitar does. We need to keep that thing going at the bottom, and maybe at some point we can have a crazy guitar solo. But yeah, for me, the drums really just occupy their sort of throne very, very fairly in this kind of music. Okay, so this is more of a straightforward, I would say more of a death metal kind of sound, where we've got this low riff, something like that. So again, we're operating in a territory that is basically atonal. Let's just check it is that, because there's a chance it could be nicer than that. Is it that? That would be actually quite nice. No. I think that's what it is. Let's hear it one more time. Yeah. That's pretty spidery. I like it. So we start with like a major third, come down a second, so that by itself is nice. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. But then we go up to the flat 3. And and suddenly we're in slightly more horrific territory. Then we go to the 4. So we've just played 4 notes which are all consecutive. Not in a consecutive way though. That's quite comfortable because we hear that from time to time in loads of different types of music. We hear that chromatic scale going on like that. And similarly backwards, we're familiar with those sounds. But when we play them in this order, it feels very lumpy, very unusual. Warping your expectations on a micro level there. And then after... Then we come back to the notes we started with there, the 2 and the 3, if we want to think of it that way. And then we get that flat 2, which we have been avoiding so far, but there it is. So we actually end up having all the notes within a 6-note range, which is pretty good. What's nice about that is that it's 8 different plucks as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Which means we're in a regular time signature for the first time, seemingly. That's nice. Also, yes, these are tremolo picked, so we're just going as fast as we can. And that goes along with the drums very nicely as well. Just everything super aggressive. Okay, so then we've got a harmony guitar to some degree. Now the normal way to do this would be with a power chord. And they've sort of done that, but this is sort of a backwards power chord, where you've got the low note on top, because that would normally be ba, 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 ba. But instead they've got it ba, da, 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 on the top. So it gives this sort of, well, I think a darker sound, but more so in this one, you're just aware of the 2 different guitars doing it and the slightly brighter sound coming from the top. And they just don't fit together very nicely. There's a little bit of, harmonic uncomfortability with their sort of robotic journey together. As if going through this atonal riff wasn't enough for sounding strange, now we've got something doing exactly the same thing but juxtaposed at a different pitch. And so these things, they're sort of like, I don't know, it's like 2 parallel lines going across. I don't know. It's how it sounds, I guess. What's also really interesting about the drums, and it's too complicated for me to go over really, is that almost every bar, the drums are different in some micro way. After a certain amount of bars, they will be different in quite a large way, but that it's not so much that the drummer is really keeping a groove going here. There's different cymbals will come in from one bar to another, and then not be heard for a couple more bars. There'll be rolls on the snare. Those are fairly common. Just, I don't mean rolls, do I? I mean just essentially tremolos on the snare. Lots and lots of hits very quickly, and then we'll maybe go to the back to the cymbals, or we'll maybe go to the toms from time to time. And the only real constant is going to be the kick drum, which is going to be smashing out the lower octave, the lowest octave of the sound. Okay, so we've gone now into something similar to what we had at the beginning. Not right at the beginning, but the beginning of our verse. So maybe we've gone sort of like a verse and then a chorus, and then we've got a verse. This feels more like a chorus to me. Let's call it a chorus. There's our triplet bit again. And there's our trumpets back. And there's our triplets, yeah. So it is going fairly regularly between the... It's going regularly between those two sections. And it sounds, at least that last time we got 3 repetitions of the riff before we got the triplet section. Maybe that's been happening each time. Go back and count it if you like. And we're back to our atonal riff. You know what? I can't actually. Maybe it's just because my ears aren't working, but I can't hear that lowest octave. I can't hear the kick drum really smashing out. It is there, but it's not really cutting through the texture of everything else. I guess this is a production thing. To be honest, I'm not so familiar with the production varieties between different metal styles, but I noticed that black metal generally has much more of a higher frequency atmosphere than death metal, or than even like thrash metal and death metal tend to be focused more on the low kind of sounds, with the top sort of reserved for simple crashes from time to time. But the kick drum therefore is much more important in those, and the sort of double kick drum stuff, which is a blast beat is what that is, isn't it? Which is such a staple of extreme metal, is more noticeable in that kind of thing. And here it isn't really, because we've got that more high frequency shh wall of noise kind of sound that I associate with black metal. If there is something more to it than that, please do let me know. I would be interested. I don't listen to a vast amount of extreme metal because there's only so much I can listen to, but I know the internet really loves it, so I'm sure there's someone out there with an opinion or an actual factual understanding of it. Anyway, let's carry on. We're back in riff territory here, aren't we? Oh, maybe not. Let's just see how we got to where we are. So here's our riff. There's the fourth up again. Okay. Is that halfway between an F and an F sharp? Do I really need to tune? I would say it's probably an F. Let's just hear it again. I guess maybe because it's palm muted. If you heavily palm mute something, it slightly raises the pitch. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I'm trying to demonstrate there. Going with very heavy palm mute. It's not really even a palm mute now, but it sounds more like the, in fact, up to a G. So what I think is it's like an F and it's heavily palm muted so that it sounds halfway between an F and an F sharp. But we're not really caring about that, are we? clearly it doesn't matter the actual pitch relationships here. What matters more is that it's an unsettling change, an unexpected transition to something else. And now, yeah, it's a much clearer texture, isn't it? We've just got heavy chugging on one note in the guitars. And what are the drums doing? Well, it's pretty much the low stuff, isn't it? It's cleared that high frequency shimmer noise, and now we've got toms, a low floor tom, just bump, 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 and it seems like we've got it in both ears as well, which is nice. I know metal drummers love to have a lot of drums, so maybe that's what's going on here. Okay, so similar kind of thing to in the let's say chorus section, where we have the riff, and then we have a break for another rhythmic section. This time, similar kind of triplets, I think, but that was dominated by the guitar doing sort of something like that. There was something I wanted to say about the voice, which is that in the beginning of this section, and you hear that echoed, which is a nice extra little effect. Giving more atmosphere to this section and making it feel a little more open-minded, open, just generally. I sometimes find that kind of thing funny because, like, the dom, the note of the note obviously comes after the sh from the string. So sometimes that feels like it's actually out of time with the drums, which don't have such a complex sound. They have a hit and everything fades from there. Let's just hear that again. Yeah, they feel out of time. They feel out of time there. And this has clearly been produced well. Yeah, I would say so. It's very clear in general, though there are some things that are missing. But yeah, the fact that they're not quite in time with each other, or at least that's how it sounds there, is an interesting feature. Anyway. Yeah, sounds like we've repeated the same thing again. Wow, no, wow, no, wow, no. Yeah. Okay, strange noise took center stage there, right in the middle, right close, which nothing else is really. There's a little bit of sort of massive reverb on most of these things, but right in the center there was this kind of sound. Let's hear it again. Wasn't there that time. Oh, there it is. It's like, yeah, like someone gargling. It could also be like a guitar with wah on it, really. But whatever it is, it's sort of pitchless, so that's why I don't think it's a guitar. That's interesting. An interesting noise. Reminds me of the Ethel Cain album that I did not expect to be referencing in relation to this one. And the bass there guiding us into the next section with a slow descent of a slow slide down the neck. Excellent. Let's hear that again. A big change now, isn't it? The drums have stopped. We've got guitar in one ear and we've got bass in another ear. Okay. This is finally something that I feel more or less able to tackle. It's something like that, which is quite nice. I'm sure it's not exactly that. Okay, something like that. Maybe that. Dang it. No, I can't hear it from what's going on there. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. We'll get this bit. That bass is so loud. It's not just that though, is it? Oh, this is a complicated thing, and no doubt it's not gonna. It might be that actually. Okay, and that last one was that. That's a nice straightforward A minor or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so it's tritones. It's tritones. We've got some of those. Would it just be that? That would be a bit disappointing, wouldn't it? It feels like, yeah, that we've got, and then that comes in, but does that go down there? This is hard. Could be that. It's quite hard to play, but it could be. That doesn't sound too off. Yeah, it's really close to that anyway. It's strange, and what can I say about it? We've got this little bit of a strange melody on the top, which doesn't go with the other parts. The other parts are going down in thirds, and they stop after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay there, and then one more, and then we're back up again. So this by itself is actually quite a common pattern. Right? It's basically Stairway to Heaven. But then that note is a little bit unexpected, but what's more unexpected is that we've got a proper false relation there between that F sharp or G flat and that G there. And then that doesn't really help matters because that works with that, it works with that, but it does not work with both of them. And then this comes down, and we're now at a proper sort of diminished chord. And then that just shifts down another semitone, and then we go back up again. Fun. Let's see if the bass has anything to say about that. This crazy bass line. Come on, hey. But Let's hear it again. It's a little bit sloppy, that beginning, isn't it? It's not quite that though, is it? Alright, so it's basically around that. So it's around sort of a F minor with a little bit of play with different semitone intervals. But yeah, C minor or F. Da, da, da is definitely F. Maybe he was aiming for that. Nonetheless, it's characterful and powerful to have it suddenly so centre stage. Does it work with the other things? Well, not really. How does it go? Yeah, no, they're really at odds, both those parts. Yeah, in different ways, but they're both. Oh. Ah. Very interesting. I've just noticed that my stream has... Yes, okay, I understand why. Dearie me. It's just an album cover, guys. But we will... what shall we do about that? My stream has been adult rated. Huh. Well, I guess... we will just go on to the individual track. Is that going to work? No. Okay, alright. Fine. Oh, wow. Is that just black? Oh, yeah, it is just black. Alright. Let's just crop that guy out then, shall we? We'll just do something like that. There we go. Alright. Dearie me, I didn't have any expectation that would be a problem I'd have to deal with. Oh, and now we've got to start Eye of Mars again. Bandcamp is not quite built for this kind of use, I guess. Anyway, we're about there, aren't we? Yeah. So we get that anyway, we get a few goes through of that particular thing, and then we're into another section. What's going to happen now? The drums have come back in, everything sounds all hi-fi again. Yeah, so it is the same thing going on here, but with more distorted guitars and clearer stuff, and the basses coming and doing something similar, but it's not locked in terms of harmony. It's jutting out and making all these jagged edges in a classically Imperial Triumphant kind of way. Yeah, this feels quite funny now because it suddenly it feels more like it's doing this kind of thing. So a very not nomadic, but like primitive kind of sound, very on the beat and just descending in this really straightforward manner. Yeah, silly stuff. Okay, a new kind of section here, very fast feeling, with snare hits, I think, on most of the beats there, but not snare, not a drum roll, is it? It's not a tremolo. The tremolo is probably coming from the kick drum, which is a little bit lost in the mix. We're not getting those low hits, but yeah, there's definitely some coming through here. And the guitar is shooting up the neck, and I think the bass is keeping that chromatic riff going. Yeah, the bass is doing something interesting anyway, but it's hard to make out. And yeah, we were here, and now we're here. Are we going any further? Yeah, so you can hear very clearly that this note, while being a bit sharp, is there with this note down here. And they are an octave and a major seventh apart. So that's not very pleasant to listen to. Is it? I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, it's interesting when the harmony clears like that. When we've got such fast-moving discordant stuff, it's very hard to make sense of that in the moment. It just sounds like a really messy load of noise, but nonetheless like harmonic noise. And then when we get a clear moment here where they're holding for a long period of time, it adds this clarity to what's going on in a really powerful way. Oh, and then ending on a very chorus heavy power chord there, C sharp power chord. Wow, strong stuff. Everything's fading down. Got a Steve Vai-esque reverb-drenched melody guitar there, giving us those two. Now, if we've got this C going on, that's our Lydian mode sharp 4 and 5. Okay, and we've got another voiceover, so it's bringing us back to the thing that we heard, one of the things we heard in the intro there. And this is like what we heard in the intro too, just reversed. In the intro we were having these downwards ones. I guess we did also have that on piano, didn't we? So it's a bit like that, but again in a different key. Yeah, there's really no key cohesion here as far as I can tell.
And unbind the soul from her master.
Yeah, we got some moaning. Maybe it's of the bass. Just these microtonal changes in pitch, bringing things up and down. It really sounds like a moan. Very heart-wrenching kind of noise. And then slides away. Oh, and then it's back. Wow, listen to that cymbal selection just then. So tinny, aren't they? Rather than normal cymbals with that extra, wash of noise that comes after. These, they have very short, very precise sounds to them. That's really interesting sound to come through there. I think I've heard them a couple of times on the album so far, but nothing quite so clear as that. Yeah, and listen to the difference in texture from the previous bar into that bar. Down, low, and then high, and then lower. Yeah, it's really, really heavy at the moment. Got a low power, and we're just going up and down semitones. It's more like a conventional metal kind of situation right now. And the drums are just going wild. Okay, in this less dense texture, you can hear the kick drum coming through, and more of a reverby version of the sound. You can't hear so much the what do you call it? You can't hear so much of the I've been knocked off by the fact that this has become an adult-rated stream. That's addled my perception of things. But yeah, the reverb on the kick drum is really more of what we're hearing. We're not hearing that thudding, close sound that you normally get from a kick drum. It's further away, and it's in the ether. Yeah, this might be following the same pattern as that piano riff at the beginning. Doing something like that, maybe. We're getting loads of extra noise coming in here. The drums are absolutely cacophonic, but as well as that, we have windy noises and other atmospherics coming in. The vocalist is oohing himself as much as he can, and the guitars are just hitting those C sharp and D power chords hard. Okay, this says Avant Death, doesn't it? Up here, I've only just noticed that. Avant Death. Do you think that means that they see themselves more as a death metal band than a black metal band? Maybe. Interesting. But certainly as an avant-garde band, which I think is fair. Then again, maybe that's just a place that they have been playing. I don't know. Yeah. So nothing is breaking through this this thick texture right here. Little things are just coming to the to the fore, and then getting lost back into the miasma of noise. And the guitar has actually stopped doing the riff now. It's doing this kind of thing. Yeah, no, it's probably that with this in the bass. Something like that. So we've got like a semitone dissonance with the bass, I think. Like that. And then we've got this tritone dissonance with the fifth of the bass note.
It is highly observable, highly noticeable, but the real roughing up and massaging is done by the new medium, and it is ignored.
And then we've got some audio going on there. And a nice D major chord comes through at the end. Yeah. So, goodness knows what any of that means. Eye of Mars, what does that mean? No idea. We had loads of clips of audible people talking, but I couldn't make any sense of what they were saying in particular. So, yeah, this is quite a crazy selection of noises. The structure is quite unusual. We sort of fell into something approaching a verse, chorus, verse for a little bit there, and then we just left that behind and did some new sections, and those didn't have quite the similarity to that. Maybe we had a little bit of overarching cohesion between that sort of chromatic thing. But that's a very small thing to connect all the sections. The only real overarching thing is the texture, and we kept pretty much the same instruments all the way through, and that's going to be obviously the case for this. But even then, we had, noise clips. We had piano at the beginning. We had those trumpets that came in, didn't we? You remember those? So it's not as if we're averse to extra things coming in here either. But yeah, this is definitely, on the more experimental side of metal or of music in general. The purpose of these things could be just entirely to make something that sounds new and sounds unexpected. And I think that works very well in a metal framework, because metal sounds quite not interruptive, what's the word? I guess insistent or something like that. It sounds in your face and interrupts the flow of other things that might be going on with its undeniable visceral power. And so having a lot of experimentation within a metal framework ends up making things that are really unique experiences, and that's what we've got so far. Okay, what's this next track then? We're not going to get through a lot today. That took us basically an hour. Oh, okay, we're actually D minor there rather than D major. Not that it matters too much. Gomorrah Nouveaux. What? Well, a way to completely throw away the texture built up from the previous things. I mean, it's drums, but we've also got hand claps, which is cute. And we're in quite a nice, easy 3, it seems. Yeah, the claps are weird, though. Claps, I think, are working left, right, left, right, left, right. So they are sort of phasing in and out of being with the drums. The drums, which are 3s. Then we have like clap, 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 clap. And even with that, they're going from left to right. So it's a confusing pan where everything comes back, I think, probably once every 4 bars. I might be wrong about that. We just got a squeal of oh, dang, it's been so long since I've made it. I've forgotten what it's called. Feedback. We made a squeal of feedback from the guitar at the end there. And then a note. Okay, so one of the guitars in the left is joining in with those 3s, maybe on like an E down there, and then the other one is up on an F sharp. So those two are not particularly going together, but they're not really clashing. There they go, a bit more clashy, because we get an E, but it's a little bit sharp. I don't know how they're getting these odd microtonal deviances. Maybe things are tuned differently, or maybe they've got a microtonal guitar, but whatever's going on, it's weird. It's weirdly off from where it should be. Yeah, and again, that's like a 4th interval, which is an unexpected interval, but it's not a dissonance really. So they're playing with things that sort of appear to be weird, but are nowhere near as aggressive as what happened in the previous track. Okay. So this one in the left ear started doing something more like playing with that F. Maybe like that. Da 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 da. just before the end there. And then, yeah, we're going into more of a heavy texture on. Okay. Yes, so we're keeping with that E being the lowest thing here. That's our tonal center, which is nice. We didn't really get one for much of the previous track, but we've got one here. The whole band's in. Yeah, we have sort of a break from the threes just there, and then we're back to the threes. Working up the neck a little bit. Something like that. That would be a nice version of what it probably isn't. It's sometimes hard to make these things out. And as well as that, they're not conforming to expectation. So in this kind of music, it takes a lot of brain power to exactly work out what's going on. That's my excuse for not going into exactly what's going on there. But the structure doesn't require so much brain power, and I can give you help on that, no problem. So that's what we had. We had a brief break of before we got back to the and really that is still threes. Yeah, it's threes. It's almost like the that's not quite it, is it? But like opening a chest in Legend of Zelda. Yeah, so it is doing that. Fairly regularly. Okay, and that time we had something very similar, but it was now with a splashy kind of chord. Something like that, some fourths. Didn't really sound like that though, did it? Why am I focusing on this? Well, that would say it was I would say it's a power chord, but it doesn't sound like a power chord either, does it? Oh, and that's because of the bass. I think they're doing that together, which is nice. Yeah, I think so. Maybe it's not quite that. That sounds more like it actually, doesn't it? So it's either a minor 7 chord like that or a major 7 chord like that, just sliding up chromatically, which is a nice sound and totally different to what they've been doing previous to this. Yeah, quite a nice harmony as opposed to the really scrunchy things that we got on the previous track. So this track is not going for the same full punch in the face as the previous track. At least not yet. Okay, we've got a similar thing to what we had on the previous track there, with this chromatic descending riff, which I think is 7, and both the bass and the guitar are doing it, but the bass has some extra the guitar has some extra harmony on it as well. And they're moving slowly but together, and the drums are just doing their own thing. Well, I say that the drums are locked in with the same kind of focus as well. They're emphasizing each of those beats. So it's not like they're totally off, doing their own thing. But that said, there's so much more improvisation in the drums than there is in the other parts. Wow! Sudden switch, and they lose all that reverb. Listen to the change. Close. And the only thing that lasts, well, okay, one of the cymbals and the floor tom last, don't they? Oh. And then we're back with our verse. Hooray! Da, 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 da. Where's that? Yeah, we're really focused around the E at the moment, which is nice. I guess that would suggest that is going like that rather than that. So it would suggest the major 7 chord rather than the the minor 7. Yeah, it's the same riff that's coming up, and I'm feeling more and more pressure to work out what it is, but I'm not going to give in. Yeah, and this... Oh, this might have moved up, or again, might just be a heavy palm mute again. That feels more like an F at the bottom now, and it has that tritone dissonance with the B power chord that's chopping out. Da, 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 da. Ooh. Something like that, which is nice. It's just not the same as that, but that's fun. And there's that again. Yeah, which does sound like that to me. And yeah, so far this has had a strophic structure. We've been going through the same parts in the same order as before. So this is not so experimental. This is basically Radio 1 fodder. Well, lovely, isn't it? Wow, when those keyboards come in. This is one of the most wonderful things about that Emperor album. Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk, and I've still not looked up what Welkin means, but it's not for today. But when you have these absolutely blasting things going on, when they have no pitch, and then the guitar is 90% scratchy noise with a little bit of pitch, same with the bass, and then you get this flood of noise, harmonic noise coming from keyboards just filling up the space. Oh, it is amazing, and there is no other style of music which does that kind of thing so well. It's really shocking, powerful stuff, and that's what we get here, and we get it on a new set of pitches as well. There it comes. Yeah, wow. There might be some guitar on that as well, but basically we're just flashing out this D minor chord in the background, but also now in sort of the middle ground as well. Just really beautiful sudden texture change from that. Really good, really strong. And then we have minor too. Something else after that I didn't quite make out. I guess a D flat major, which is C sharp major, which is unexpected and doesn't go with either of those previous chords, but the D minor and the G minor work really nicely together in a classic way. And then that D flat just has to ruin our fun. Okay, it seems to stick on that while we get this strange riff from both the guitar and the bass. Something like that. Yeah, kind of whole tone thing, which we've had a sort of hint at from time to time here. Okay, and that sort of changes the feeling of that chord. Yeah, to one more. Yeah, I guess more of a more of a C sharp augmented chord then, which works quite nicely with our D. Interesting. And then back to the G. Whew, that's interesting. So and then basically this, but then it just took a while to actually find that fifth, which wasn't really there. There it is, and then back again to the G minor. That's an interesting set of chords, and they're not too crazy that you can't make some level of sense from them, but they still don't sound like basically anything you've heard before. There it is again. Okay, back to the D minor. Oh yeah, sometimes that sounds a little bit different, like an F minor. They are actually kind of similar. Yeah, it would kind of make sense as an F minor as well. Yeah, maybe it's just weird version with that bass, but yeah, I've changed my opinion. I think it is an F minor now. And that really makes that riff weird. Because that C sharp or D flat is against the C that's in that chord. And then we just jump straight over that C again to the B, D flat B with a C in the middle. The F's not so weird, the G's not so weird. Well, that A would be weird, but I think that's where it shifts more to that C sharp augmented chord. I know it's an augmented chord, so it's still very odd, but it's less odd. There's the G minor again, and there's the F minor again. And then we go to the D. Yeah! Such a bright, shiny texture, isn't it, as well? Okay, we're doing the same thing again. It's like an organ note just came on there. Ooh. But yeah, on a low E flat. Weird. We just get the chords as normal. Yeah. Really strong. So we get that F minor. And that takes us to the D. We've repeated the same section a few times here now, and it's been relatively nice and slow and calm. Sorry. Yeah. It's an unusual chord sequence, but it's not blowing the gates off tonality. You wouldn't get these three minor chords together, but having them with a decent amount of time on each of them allows you to settle, allows you to get some feeling of what's going on. So the first track really never allowed you to settle until that final C sharp chord came in. Here we have a chord sequence, and it's clear and slow and available. There it is again. Okay, and we've gone back to that beginning riff. That one. Got a squeal of static going through as well on the right side. Okay, and this is our first section again. We can make a bit more sense of that riff now. It's doing something like that, so it's going hemiola against the threes. Oh, I guess that's not, is it? Because the threes are 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, so yeah. Actually, no, it is. Because yeah, I guess it's a kind of hemiola. I'm going to say so anyway. Yeah, so the threes were going but da 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 da, but now they're going but da 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 da. Okay, and now they're back to more how they were, sort of. But da 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 da. No, it's not really, is it? It's just a different feeling, because that's like. And they were going. So that's this. You could still feel in a slow 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But this, if you were going to feel that into 2, 2, 2, it goes in the beat where there's nothing. So we're moving towards a slower 3, but a clearer 3. Okay, or maybe we're not. We're going back to that previous one. Yeah, it's mixing between the things in a quite regular way. We're getting about 4 of one and a little bit longer of the other, I think. Bold to suddenly drop it to just the bass, and it's got such a heavy distortion sound, so you can hear the sound of the strings so clearly, and then just ending on that wow, that F sharp there, really cool. And then we're back into a verse basically. Here comes the riff. Okay, we've also got that wow wow sound, which I think we heard in the previous track, didn't we? In the middle, just for one moment, and it seems to be back here now. Maybe that's got some meaning. It's really heavy now, isn't it? It's really heavily there, that kind of sound. It's cool, but yeah, it's sort of thickening the atmosphere and making it quite more uncomfortable to listen to without adding anything more to listen to in a certain way. So it's just adding heaviness into the atmosphere, which is a really bold thing to do in a mix, because a lot of people just don't like that muddiness, but they've done it here seemingly intentionally. Yeah, that was more understandable, more maybe I'm just settling into the album a bit more, but that one, yeah, that would be the single if I were in charge so far of the two anyway. Yeah, it's understandable. There's some fun things to it, like, just dropping to the bass for that moment. That was fun. We've got this mid-section with the really clear chords, which is strong and gives a very different lens that kind of helps us understand the heavier section as well. So yeah, it's all nice, all good. I'm going to try and get through this next one in less than 30 minutes. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Hey, are we just relaxing into harmony now? C major, pentatonic. Oh, A flat, F minor. Oh, 1 major chord. Oh, 4 minor, dramatically altered subdominant chord. Oh, still cool, still nice. Very emotional. Okay, and then we keep that, but we have D flat C, probably. Oh no, maybe just the A. Yeah, okay. So that felt like it was an F minor. Then we got that D flat and the A and the D flat again. So we are playing with semitones again in this one. Been doing that to some degree through this album, as you might expect. And then we've got back to the C, but it's in first inversion and it's so low it doesn't quite feel like the C we left. Okay, so we've got some cops on the way, and we're going back to the riff. Yeah, interesting. Because we took such a right strange way back to that C, when it comes back in, it doesn't feel nearly as countrified as it does the first time. Such big delay and reverb, isn't it? It's really giving space. It sounds to me like this is on top of one of those massive buildings, and we're just listening to the sounds below of the the traffic, and I'm sure that's basically what they're going for here. Imagine if the Beatles tried to play on the top of these New York skyscrapers. Okay, the bass is in now. It's kind of helping out. Down on a low C there, and then we got harmonic, which is a harmonic E. I guess that works in that C chord. But yeah, that C chord sounds really. It wasn't an E, was it? It's a B. Ah, right. Yeah. Which, if you spell it out like that with the E in the bass and the B up here, doesn't feel as comfortable as a normal C major 7 would. It feels sort of like an E minor chord with an added flat 6 in there. A more uncomfortable chord by the voicing by a long way. Okay, so there we got the same thing, but then the bass added in B flat, which is a weird thing to do. Yeah, you can even hear the bass stop. Oh. Okay, giving us back our C again. There's that B again. Okay, so this time the guitar goes as it normally does, and the bass has just delivered us another sound world entirely, and it's so much louder than the guitar. Yeah. D. So D. What's that? A. D, A, and E, along with those down there. So the F and the E are pretty weird together. The A flat and the A are very weird together. And altogether, that F minor and this, D quintal chord. Quintal because it's built on fifths. They just don't sound very cohesive together. And so we're sort of being drawn into more unpleasant spaces as this is going on. We started pretty comfortable, in fact very comfortable with the C. Even when we went to the F minor there, that was okay. And things started to sour, and they got a bit sourer, and now they're pretty sour. With the C chord with the E in the bass and some harmonics.
The future, like everything else.
So that's fun, isn't it? Because the lady who's begun speaking was not finished with her sentence, and we interrupted her. Rude. Sounds like we're in C minor. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's one of these. So it's C minor with an added 9. That's what I can hear there. Sudden hit of that chord.
No longer quite what it used to be.
Oh, and there she does get some space to finish. Yeah, this is interesting. Slow drums, not really showboating. This chromatic bass riff moving down and interesting chords over the top. Yeah. And then another sort of augmented chord there. B augmented. It's really impressive having the bass so prominent in this kind of music. It's quite unusual. Yeah. So that sounds a bit like an A flat major 7 chord, but the bass does not feel quite in tune. I don't know if this is deliberate. It might be that they have not tuned their instruments and they're just going with what they can, hear. But yeah, that chord doesn't sit quite as nicely as it should. And then nonetheless, if it was an A flat major 7 chord, it would fit nicely in the key of C minor, which is sort of where we are now. Unlike that one. Yeah, which I guess that chord has an F sharp, a D and an E flat in it. I can't really play that. Yeah. I think the guitar might occasionally have a harmonizer set to do a flat second above, which would mean that each note that they played, if it was like these ones, it would all also play those. And then when it moved this around, we'd get the semitone dissonance the whole time. Like that kind of thing. For a really clear example of that, you want to listen to Nirvana's moderate rock one. What is it? It's on In Utero. I'll just look it up. Just give me a moment. It's got like a 4-word title, and it's got some very, very clashy guitar on it, and it's because it's got one of these harmonizer pedals on. I'm pretty sure. Well, when it loads, it loads. Let's carry on. Yeah. So that holding that augmented chord for a while, it sort of becomes a little more comfortable just in the space, and it does sort of work as a as a dominant chord leading to that C minor that we come back to. Unfortunately, the bass has other ideas. Yeah, again, so to get a C minor from the guitar, I think, but an F from the bass. So again, the bass has just led to a different place instead of following the guitar. It's a really interesting thing to do, and it changes up the sound of it quite considerably without actually having to invent too much new material. Yeah. So now the bass is going off into unusual places, and so we're getting a guitar part that seems like what we heard before, accompanied by a bass part that is really just unsettling it, de-seating it. Okay, and then we had that chug, wherever it was, and then yeah, clearly leading into a new section, and the drums already, I can hear them going crazy. We again have got some nice harmony here. It's like, yeah, it's like another C major chord with a B flat in the bass there. I'm just going to go back because there's a chance that it's different the first time. Yeah, no, it's quite fun. So that's a third inversion C chord with the seventh in the bass and the B flat, and then it goes to an F minor with an A flat in the bass. That's first inversion, and then that drops to the root note F, and then the F chord changes to F major. I've never heard that chord sequence before, but it's got a really cool sound. Yeah, and then it sounds like it drops through the floor to the E, but I'm not sure about that. And then that sounds like, yeah, it sounds like that's the E chord, but it's got a G in the bass. So what have we got there? C, B flat, F minor with the A flat, F major, E, and then C. These are some strong changes. This one, very classical. You would get that in music from the 1600s, maybe even earlier. And then this to this, not so much, because it's a tonic major shift. You'd normally have some other things in the middle there, but it has this really strong feeling, even though there's only one note that's changing. That A flat goes to A, and then a semitone down is a big change, and then that's one of my favorite changes. That's a tertiary shift. E goes down to C, so the G sharp changes to G, the B changes to C, and the E stays the same. Yeah, great. Big fan of all those chords there. We're back in threes actually. We've got a slow 3, 1, 2, 3, and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a, so it's like a 9/8, which is nice. It's actually quite comfortable. There's the F major. There's the E. There's the C. It's really interesting. Also, I should probably say that we don't have an equal amount on each of these chords. This is, well, we almost do. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2. Okay, so they're really giving that C as our root position. They give it at the beginning and at the end of that sequence, and they give it for longer. So out of the, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chords, 6 bars, and 3 of those bars are filled with C-based chords. So that's half of it. And then we just have the F minor, the F major, and the E. The E, the strangest one there. The F minor and the F major both go very closely with the C. The E less so, but that's what gives the real satisfying sound when we get back to that C. Okay, pause. And we're back to our core, our verse kind of section here. Do do. Yeah, so we're going to get some more of that chromatic bass line. I can't remember how it goes. Oh yeah, and then we get that. Crazy chord. Yeah, and the drums now are not quite as empty as they were the first time we had this. We've got more movement going on. Yeah, keeping more of the space. Which is interesting because the other instruments are pretty much keeping to those beats when they're playing, and so the drums are taking up much more of the stage now, much more clearly the thing to listen to in a lot of these moments. Yeah, interesting. So that bit there, that's where the bass goes to its different notes. Yeah, and so we get the different relationships between those chords, and it, in the context of having heard the part that comes after, it now sounds like a pre-chorus, which is not something I would say have expected of this album, but it's really interesting that we are getting what feels like a pop music structure through this. But this time we're not going where we thought we were going. We're going for some dual notes on a bass. Just thirds going down. 4, 3, 2, 1 in A flat major, which is not totally out there. We've had that as a chord. Okay, there's a C. It's a C chord. It doesn't have a C in it, but it has the G and the E, and they are very insistent, especially after this chord, which did have a C in it, that that's what we've got there. And we should go to F. But no, we go back to our D flat dyad there, and we've got some almost singing here. Let's hear that again.
Crowns this tower.
Well, okay, not really.
Pays its respect.
But it's so clear now, isn't it, that voice? It's got some processing effect, maybe like a chorus or something, maybe just a filter that's unusual. But yeah, the town pays its respect. Clear words. It's nice when they come.
Only to the black.
Okay, and then we are back into our chorus, if you like. Yeah, this one I'm really enjoying. It's nice, and one thing that's underused by this kind of vocalist is the effect of the rhythm of their voice. And one thing that is being used at this moment is when we get down to that key, which is not so clear, there's the two things really heavily on those beats. We could have a bit more of that, I think. There it is again. Yeah, and it comes on the next beat of the next bar as well. Which is nice, but yeah, some of the other parts just feel like they're blowing in the wind. There's no rhythm to speak of there. It sounds like the lead singer of Leibach, and he's like, "Gebt mir ein Leitbild." In I think it's in Geburt einer Nation, off their Opus Dei album. I think so. It could be on Leben heißt Leben, because I sort of mix those together in my head. No, I think it must be Geburt einer Nation, because that's the One Vision one. Go and listen to that, it's good. Okay, so this time, yeah, it was in the previous track, isn't it, where we got that sudden organ note, or maybe not organ, but just a sudden low bass strength that wasn't played by the bass. We haven't got that here, but we got a guitar coming up to higher range. Yeah, it's in octaves. And it's playing quite a nice melody, really. Yeah, it's actually really nice, isn't it? It's still tremolo picked. And that fits with the chords really nicely. So we've got the G there on the C chord. And then the F minor. Or is it? No, it's not, is it? It's... Yeah, wow. That's really cool. Yeah, well worked out, because that melody itself basically fits in F minor quite nicely. There's nothing discordant about it. Apart from there, I guess. Which is on that C chord. Minor second dissonance, which by their standards is very conservative, very sweet. There's another one or another something doing something in the mid-range around there on the right side. It's going like... It's not taking the reins, but it is it's there. Yeah, nice. Great. Good. Powerful. Very powerful. And you know what? They said it was their most accessible, didn't they? 2 of these tracks have been pretty much bloody pop songs. The top one, not so much, but yeah, some of these very much so. Cool. Well, that was that was a bit disappointing. I'm sure none of you have bloody listened to that, because if it's age-restricted content, That's not good, is it? All for showing a album cover of a metal person with boobs. Disappointing, to say the least, but whatever. It's done. I'll argue with them if I have to. I hope I'm not just restricted now forever. Thank you. See you soon. Bye bye.